Yeah, it happens. So, all right,
Yeah.
okay. Ooh, helps by open that.
Oh, good news,
Yeah,
folks. No celebrity deaths this week. So we
right.
don't have that section to talk about this week. Although we
I
do
mean,
have Pittsburgh sports update for all those who are worried that TJ Watt was not going to be a Steeler. Well, guess what? He signed his extension. He is now the
yay.
highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. He's making $41 million a year for the next 4 years. Yeah, next four
Yep.
years.
And I'm still not making a fraction of that. Or I am making a tiny, tiny fraction of that, I should say. So,
we
yay.
could pay we could pay we get paid his interest in the bank.
If that. You're you're aiming high there, sir. So,
I'm looking at it as positive as I can as a normal person who doesn't play NFL football. Oh.
right. Well, yeah. Anyway, so um let's see. We're not at San Diego.
No,
We're not going to San Diego.
no.
Um there is a show in Dayton this weekend though, so for those of you guys who are out in Ohio, you can head over there, the other side of Cincinnati.
Yep. We unfortunately
Uh
can't, um, but due to staffing, pretty much.
no, Todd's out there.
Oh, Todd's going. Okay.
Yeah, Todd's out
We
there.
well, we aren't though. Like
No,
we're
we aren't. Yeah,
yeah,
we aren't,
because
but Todd is.
yeah,
Tech Host this weekend, so good luck there, guys.
yes.
Have fun.
For all
Um,
you anime buffs like
yeah,
myself, I've actually never been to Techo. I've kind of always wanted to go, but I go to so many shows and it's I can only take so many days off and it's unfortunate, maybe next year I'll go, but this year is a
it
no-go
is a
for
lot of
me.
fun. Marvin's in the chat. He says I'm not at San Diego either.
Yeah.
What
Oh,
you
come
mean?
on. Come on, you
Diamond's
Cometsburg
biggest publisher
guys.
is not at San Diego yet. What?
Uh,
Come on,
you guys really be showing off there if you guys drove all the way out to San Diego.
right? Um, but anyway, uh, there was something I was going to talk about. Um,
I was gonna say there's not a lot going on because I think everything's happening in the next couple of weeks. Because what next week is Fantastic Four is coming out next week.
right, and the other
Superman's
half
still
of
doing well.
Sandman's next week.
Yeah, so it's that's happening.
That's number one on Netflix right now.
I'm
Um,
I'm not surprised by that. They it
Star
did
Trek kicks in soon.
yeah yeah.
Um,
There's nothing else really kicking on.
yeah,
Like thinking about it.
not a ton.
No,
So,
I mean
reminder: there's
it's
we are not going to be on next week because I am going to be out of town. Just so you guys know. So no show next week.
yeah.
Sorry.
I don't have the equipment to solo show, so I don't have the access to this. So I mean, you guys can tune in, and I might do YouTube on my own channel. You guys can come in, and we can talk about stuff that I've been like kind of holding back a little bit. You may not like it, but uh, when has that stopped?
Fair.
You know,
Um, yeah, I have to be at be at a online convention. It's more of an online meeting where I have to be a representative. I'm required to be there, so I have to be there. And I don't know when it's going to be done. I don't know for sure if I'll be done in time. That's why we're not going to do it. So yeah. Anyway, so Yeah, really not much super super stuff going on this week. It's
Yeah,
really
at least nothing
so.
comic related as far as like major news that's we don't already
Oh yeah,
know. You
Marvin
know.
mentioned they announced the end game storyline on the Ultimate line. That does not necessarily mean they're going to end the Ultimate line. They're just calling that story end game. So we'll see how it goes.
Hmm.
I don't I don't think they're going to end it because it's been doing so well for them.
Yeah.
So
I think the only one that's not really doing super well is the Ultimate X-Men.
yeah.
And even that, it's doing better than most books in Marvel at this point.
Hmm.
So it's, because Ultimate Wolverine's still going on. Ultimate Spider-Man, everybody likes that. Um, and Ultimate Black Panther is doing very well. Uh,
Hmm.
I think the only thing that's kind of not really doing well on its own is just the Ultimate Universe book with the Avengers overall. I think that's the one that's kind of like bleh. But
Yeah.
I'd rather concentrate on the individual stuff. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
but
I agree. I agree. Um yeah, I think it's going to be fine.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll probably have a ton of things to talk about in 2 weeks since San Diego will kick out through the weekend
Mhm.
next week.
I'm sure there's going to be
Or this
tons of
weekend,
referrals.
sorry. So
Yeah.
or it's going to be a whole lot of just nothing that we already don't know.
Yeah.
Because that's how the internet works nowadays, and the last couple years we have not gotten a single important thing at all because
But,
Disney does all their stuff at D20. Um, and I guess DC might announce something,
well,
maybe.
here's the question that I'm going to ask, and I think a lot of people have always asked this: is do you see San Diego going back to actually being a comic book show?
No, I
That
don't.
well, if the major studios aren't making announcements, well, what's the point of the show?
Well,
Is
I
my
mean, I
question.
don't. Well, yeah, but I think it's already grown to be such a giant thing that I don't think that they're gonna not. I don't think they're gonna stop going. I just don't think they're gonna do like their major announcements there. I think they're gonna still do panels and they're still gonna do like some stuff there. They're just not gonna do like I think DC's still gonna do their stuff there, but I think Marvel's holding their stuff for D20. So
Yeah, I think
that's how I feel
that's a
about
bad
it.
look to it. That's it, if you don't do one, if you don't do at least something spicy in one of the big three shows, which would be San Diego, New York, or
Yeah, but
C2E2,
you got to remember though, Image could come rolling in here and do a whole ton of stuff though.
true.
So
We still have yet to hear about the Spawn movie and how that's going, or
yeah.
if I think last time I heard uh they were gonna try to do a TV series, like a Sam and Twitch TV
Hmm.
series.
Yeah, so
We
I
have
mean, we
yet
might
to
get
hear about
updates on all
that.
of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
like we might get a whole ton of updates on that kind of stuff.
yeah.
So we'll see. So, Marvin said they handed out more creator badges this year, so they might be trying to bring some of that back. I don't necessarily think they're trying to go back to what they used to be,
No, I'm not
but
suggesting it's too little too late for that, but I know over the past 10 years or so, a lot of
but
the
also
comic
like
guys don't go there anymore.
right, but also like since COVID, it's been different for everybody anyway. So I don't necessarily think that um it has 100% to do with the fact that it's, you know, San Diego Comic Con and it's not comic focused anymore. I think part of it has to do with the fact that, COVID happened and a lot of people, like you see it at big shows anyway, people still wear masks. They don't want to be around people.
That's
So,
true. I
I
don't want
just
to be
read
around people, but
I mean, I read today that Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner are going to be there, but they're only doing panels. Like they're only doing panels and they're doing like one signing, but that's it. They don't have a booth. They don't do anything like that. So,
I don't blame them. It's not only do you have to do, like, I heard what, there's two new variants of COVID
oh,
out
see,
and
this is
stuff
what we're
like
talking about.
this.
Marvin said he got a creator badge, but he couldn't get a table, so he had to pass on the cost. Like, dude, just go out and hang out with somebody, split a table with someone. Like that's what you do. That's what
Yeah,
you find.
yeah.
Like,
But Todd does that for Baltimore. It's,
yeah,
and Baltimore's way closer.
yeah. It's also more of a comic show, so
It's true, but Todd does split a table, and and bigger shows like that. I think
yeah.
the smaller store
You
guys
know,
have started to do that more and more often.
one of these times, maybe I'll see if Mark wants to come on and talk A about Baltimore Comic Con and B just um about how to uh about how he did his thing and how he did his shop and stuff because comics card and collectibles has been a business just almost as long as we have, but the con down there just hit 35 years,
Yeah.
like so, um that's a long time to
Yes.
be downtown Baltimore. So I'm kind of maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll start poking at some more of my bring on some other
I
guests.
think that would be
We do have some other
interesting.
guests coming up in August that I'm starting to book some people, so just so you guys know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
more on that coming.
this week it was a lot of like my dad went back to Florida, but me and him had a talk, and he didn't understand like why I quit UPS and did this. And now he sees, like, he met you, you met him, and he's like, I see, he's like, you're working with good people. He's like, I see the change in you as far as your personality towards people. Uh, I'm not as closed off. And I told him that going to the cons, going to shows, meeting people, whether they're publisher, writer, artist, whomever, uh, is part of the job too. As like I get paid for that too. I was like, yeah, I get to like look at books and look at art. I was like, but the people and the interacting, the mingling, the learning how a show works, because it's not just a, hey, it's a flea market in summertime and all I have to do is set up a table and then people just appear. That's not how a con works. It's not how a
No,
show works at all.
no, no,
It is a lot of
no, not at
hard
all.
work.
No,
It,
no.
it is it is a lot of different. It is a. It's like a moving. It's like an organism. There are different parts that have to work, and if one thing falls, the rest of us have to come up and pick it up, see what's wrong, fix it, and then hopefully everything runs smoothly. And my dad's like, he's like, you've always been different. And he's like, I'm glad you found your people. I'm glad you found something that is your personality and you're good at it. And he's like, and I'm glad you're making a living at it. He's like, he gave me a big hug and he's like, I'm proud of you. And he's like, I will see you. I think he's coming back a little bit in September, coming down for a
Cool.
visit again in September. So maybe
That's
he'll
awesome.
see, maybe I'll take him down to the waterfront. He can meet the crew down there. That'll be a shocker.
Oh God. Do you really want to subject him to that? So
If it's the
I don't know if you
Tims,
really
if it's the Tims, it should be fine. I kind of more worry about.
would it be though? No, just kidding.
I
Uh
think it would, because Hibbert would just talk his ear off.
oh, that's
Hibbert would
fair.
just
That's
talk his
fair.
ear off.
That's fair.
And
That's
the
fair.
and the other Tim, because my dad is not a girl with a big ass, he's not going to make ignorant comments about them.
Oh, let's let's not let's not talk about our coworkers like that. So,
He knows he does.
yeah, but his wife might not. Come on.
That's
Anyway,
true.
so right, and she works for a lawyer. Anyway, um, so let's 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 quickly derail this and talk about something else. Um, all right. Shit, I had something.
We don't have any was it well we have the Helltowns coming up.
Helltown's coming up. Yep. It's the end of the month.
Um
That's next weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend. This weekend we're going to be in Butler at the toy show. Make sure you guys check that out. Go see Tony. Give him a high five. He loves high fives. Um, After that though,
we don't have anything
uh,
until what, August after the
yeah,
Helltown.
first weekend of August we're going to be at Neo.
Yes.
And then after that, I think we're at Harrisburg and West Virginia. So,
Mhm.
yay, fun. Anyway, all right. Yeah, I guess we can just start talking about comics because there's
Mhm.
really not a lot to plow through today. So,
Yeah,
oh, did anyone complain about not having physical previews? I have not had a single customer say anything to me about it, but I had one of my managers complain. Only one, only one manager complained. But that
I
was
think
it.
everybody knows at this point. It's not a shocker. So it's the new world we're living in with ordering comics now. So
Yep,
um,
yep. But it's definitely a thing.
it's true.
Um, Give me 1 second here. I gotta open these up. Really? The one time it doesn't open it where it's like you, me, you, me, you, me. Okay. Cool. Yeah, we'll talk about some comics. It'll be fine. Do. Share, where are you? There you are. That one. That's what I wanted.
There we
You're
go.
first
Ooh,
for once.
yeah. I was gonna say it's been a while since I've been first, to be honest.
That's just how it's been popped up in the
And the
thing. So,
randomizer, yeah.
yep. The randomizer.
It's the wheel. I decided to do something different here, although this is Hulk related. We have Abomination. I guess this is number one. It's just a one shot. This goes with the Bring On the Bad Guys line. I think this is like the third or fourth book. Um, and we are the you open up the book and we're in Wakanda, and a bunch of archaeology students find an old well guarded by the oldest Wakandans. Um, like they're skeletons, they're not like still alive or anything. But you see bodies of the oldest Wakandans. They could tell by the weaponry and whatnot, and they end up getting contact with the government of Wakanda. And this is where we meet a young analyst named Akio. I'm not going to pronounce that last name. It is long and my pronunciation is awful. So we're just going to call her Akio M. She is assigned to talking to Emil Blonsky here. He is being held by the Wakandans, and she describes the situation as uh, two of the Dora Mahajidi. Is that pronunciation right? Probably not.
uh,
Basically, the
you
guards.
took the Black Panther's guard.
Yes.
Uh, I have to look at it to say
Or
it right.
at least his personal militia.
Yeah.
They went missing. So when those trained fighters are missing, you know that something beyond uh, what they can handle. So they're going to send him in this well. And I guess the deal is if he finds what's down there and takes care of the situation, they will let him go. Now he's like, I know this, I know better than this because I was a spy. You're not gonna let me go. And she's like, look, I understand where you're coming from. And I know my government's planning on doing this to you, but if you do this, I will personally let you go. So they are flying over the well in a plane. He gets airdropped in, and they're talking as he's dropping down. And she's like, "You're coming in too fast. You're going to destroy like the entirety of the well. You know, this is sacred land, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Don't tell me how to drop in." And he shoots down into the well. When he shoots down, you see uh, these bodies that are basically kind of zombified, but with plants and vines and everything coming out. And all they keep saying is, join us and drink from the well. Um, Kind of very, um, flower zombie-ish type things going on. Um,
It's Dora Milaje, by the way.
Dora Moshe. Okay, there we go. Thank you. And finally, Abomination meets this entity that is another name that is hard to pronounce that I'm not going to go to. I'm not going to even bother with it. He is some grandson of a long forgotten Wakandan. Apparently, he was some sort of mage, and they betrayed him, and they shoved him in this well. Well, he found that this well has power, and he was able to basically kind of do like a weird necromancy thing. Um, and he's not quite human anymore. So Blonsky's fighting him. He does end up prevailing. Um, when he does this, all the bodies return to normal. Well, Abomination doesn't care, and he just destroys the well with the so-called victim, with the victims. So they're dead. So he pops out of the well, uh, and Akio basically was, why did you do this? This was not part of the deal. And he's like, you sent me down there. I took care of the situation. And he's like, you knew when you released me, this is how it was going to end. And he's like, now he's like, I got something to do. He's like, I made sure I pulled strings. Apparently, he planned this whole thing, like to a degree where she got sent because she basically does, she's a nobody. So he ends up killing her for her soul for Mephisto. And that is the end of the book. Supposedly, this is going to continue in the Incredible Hulk series later on. So I'm taking a guess, considering that this is all connected to Mephisto, and this is going to be, since Mephisto is probably going to be the next big bad after Doctor Doom, or uh, while Doctor Doom's doing this. This is all going to be MCU related, I'm sure. And it's a long, drawn out storyline. Obviously, it's a one shot, but it's connected to several other plans that Marvel has. I'll give this a 7 out of 12. just
Mm.
because I don't know where, like, what the whole planet, the whole picture is. Like, the story itself was fine. It was quick, and you knew Abomination was going to do something horrendous.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I called that. The art was excellent. Like, this cover here is beautiful. I love that. That's a solid looking Abomination there. Better than most Abomination art. Uh, but yeah, I'll give it about a 7 out of 12. It wasn't the best thing, but for a one shot that, is connected to all this bring on the bad guys stuff, it was pretty fun.
Nice. All right. My first book is Red Coat 13. This wraps up the Civil War storyline in Red Coat with the Northerner. Um, Northerner, Redcoat, Simon, and the little girl that's riding with them are still chasing after the cobbler, and they are fighting. They realize that Northerner is definitely not from that time period because he's got all kinds of crazy guns, including guns with safeties, and he's like, "What the hell's a safety?" Which was pretty funny. Um, and they get to this bridge. Uh, the little girl's like, "What is that sound?" And the horses hear it too. They stop right before the bridge. Bridge blows up. Cobbler's on the other side and starts shooting at them with an AR-15. Uh, and they sort of survive. Um, they Simon's like, "I know how to get to beat them," so they race down this path, and Simon's like, "How do you know me? Like this isn't like what the hell's going on here?" And he's like, you think I don't know you, but I do know you, and this is how you are, and blah blah blah. And you're just a lying cheat, and you're always dishonest, you're cruel, you're unbelievably cruel. Um I mean he like it's very interesting like how much he like kind of like lays into him about basically being like a total douche. Uh So eventually, they catch the cobbler. But before they catch him, Simon gets a flash in his head of the Northerners' future, where he came from, which is actually where the South won, and the U.S. is split into two, and the Confederacy is actually like like going into the North and um shipping black people back to the South,
Ooh.
still in the present day, or in the 60s, I think that is where it is. So he ends up being, you know, kind of caught up into this thing. So anyway, they have a big fight. Simon saves the day. There's a lot more to that, but I'm going to leave it to you guys to read it because it is phenomenal to look at. The art is fantastic. Um, Northerner and Cobbler's bodies both get time jumped back into the future. Simon takes this little girl to a northern refugee camp, and while he has someone patch up his red coat, um, he grabs a Union jacket and goes and fights for the Union in the war. And then it shows Northerner showing up in the Geiger timeline. So in Geiger 20, he will show up. Um, and then the prelude to First Ghost will be in the next issue of Redcoat. Um, I just continue to love this story. I don't think it's quite stuck the landing as hard as I wanted it to, um, but it was still very good. There were just some moments of it that I thought could have been a little less chaotic, I guess. Um, and it kind of moved a little too fast. It almost felt like it was just trying to wrap up at parts. Excuse me. So for that, I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 12, which is probably the lowest rating I've given a red coat book.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're normally like a 10 or above with these.
Yeah. Um, but it just felt very rushed at the end to like wrap up that part of that story. Um, I almost wish that this issue and the last issue would have been one big prestige issue because it would have been better for me, like as one big story, I think. So, but that's just how I feel.
All right, we got the giant size House of M. Now this is the Miss Marvel going through the uh X-Men timeline throughout the years. I don't know if I did any of the other ones. I think I did the giant size before.
Mm, mm,
I know I read
regular
it.
giant says, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she went from giant size to the Phoenix Saga to Age of Apocalypse, and now we're at House of M. So the her and Legion have been in the race against time, so to speak. Him like trying to destroy everything. And it's not David. David is not in control. This is Legion. This is everybody else in Legion just kind of doing their thing and just destroying the multiverses of everything. And it's Miss Marvel's job to try to basically just try to stop him, which I think this was I see where they're going with this, but unfortunately, using Miss Marvel this way is very bad because a lot of people have soured on Miss Marvel, and it's weird. Um, the story itself is fine. Basically, she's in uh high school, and it's mutants are she's in the bathroom, girls' bathroom, and two mutant kids are picking on this human. Um, and she sticks up for them, and apparently Kitty Pryde is a teacher there in high school, and apparently she's kind of a bigot in this. Kitty Pryde's kind of a bigot, which is like a
What?
real, yeah, this is like she's kind of nasty to humans. She's like, she she doesn't remember all that, like most of the other X-Men remember her hopping through time. Kitty does not. And I think it probably is because of the Scarlet Witch messing with the whole dimension and everything. Um, so she runs into Wolverine and Laura Miller, which I
Yeah, Layla Miller?
Layla Miller, yeah. I don't
If X
recall.
Factor.
Okay, that's probably why I don't read enough X Factor to remember her. But basically, they're going to go kill the Scarlet Witch, which kind of the whole purpose of
Hold
House
wait,
of
wait,
M
wait.
to begin with.
Little kid Layla Miller or adult Layla Miller?
She looks like about adult. She's
Okay.
adult, yeah. So,
Okay. Does she have the M on her face?
I think so.
Okay.
It's
Yeah. Then yeah, that's adult Layla Miller.
okay,
Okay.
yeah. Or at least she's like teenage years type deal. She's not young, young.
Okay.
But she meets up with the rest of the X-Men and other heroes like Spider-Man and Captain Marvel, and uh, they basically have a plan to try to stop Legion from destroying the House of M and trying to stop him from whatever he wants to do. Uh, Kitty and Kamala have a couple of heart to hearts throughout this book. Basically, they kind of bond over the fact that uh, they're both treated differently, not just because they're humans or they're mutants, but because of their different backgrounds. Kitty being Jewish and Kamala being Muslim, and like they kind of come to that agreement and the solace that you know they have to rise above like the hatred and the usual thing that mutants have to deal with on the daily in the Marvel universe, which is normal people being afraid of them, being bigoted pieces of garbage. You know, the big lesson here. Um, well, the X-Men come down and they're infiltrating where Scarlet Witch is. Of course, they get confronted by Magneto. So Magneto is fighting the X-Men and Miss Marvel and everything. Well, Legion takes his opportunity and confronts the Scarlet Witch. And, you know, Scarlet Witch is no match for Legion. She's powerful in her own right. And he even says that. He's like, between my literal decades of experience, plus the fact that my powers of all the beings in me trump your singular power. He's like, I'm going to win. And he forces her to say, no more mutants. So the whole thing blanks out again. And we're back to the end of House M, where there is literally just under 200 mutants left. And now they got to find Legion all over again. And they think that they have to time travel back to the very beginning in the giant size during the giant size era. Uh, so that's where the book ends. This is cool. Like I've read like the whole series. I've heard a couple of creators and comic guys kind of criticize again the usage of Miss Marvel, and I'm not denying that it is weird. The fact that Marvel's sticking with the whole she's a mutant now instead of a
Inhuman.
inhuman. It's still hard to take, and the fact that she's in a storyline like this, they're kind of forcing it a little bit than they should be. But I like the fact that each book definitely does stay true to the history of each X-Men era. Like Giant Size was exactly the way we remember Giant Size. Age of Apocalypse was the same thing, exactly the way we remember Age of Apocalypse. House of M was exactly the way we remember it. It's just
Hmm.
her point of view and using Legion this way as kind of going on a warpath of uh, insanity, so to speak. Um, I'm digging it. It's growing on me. Um, I think the writers could have tweaked things to make it not so forced. But again, not my call on that. I'll give this like a 9 out of 12. Um,
Hmm.
I like I said, I'm enjoying it. The art is reasonably done well. The covers for these have been really creative. Uh, I ended up picking up the one variant of Wolverine in his kind of his Vegas outfit, where he's kind of a gangster and
Like in like a patch outfit?
he's not patch. He's not wearing the patch, but he's wearing like a very like fancy like outfit, but he's definitely fighting with gangsters because the guy beside him kind of looks like Joe Fixit. I don't know if it's Joe Fixit. It
Hmm.
could be because the dude's definitely wearing a purple leisure suit.
Fair enough.
Purple pinstripe with the hat. Although he looks a little small to be Joe Fixit. And there is a Wolverine story attached to this as well, which is fine. It's a cute little short story of him making a promise to a gangster back in the 20s and finally giving this ring to an Italian gangster like in current times. And she's like, we thought this was lost for years. And she's like, well, he's like, well, I promised your grandfather. And he's like, life and certain things took me another way. And it was a quick spin thing it's going to be continued in the Wolverine series main series later. As I said, it was fine.
Okay. I just looked at that cover. That's definitely Joe Fixit.
It is
So,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I like that. It looks pretty cool. So I
it
was like,
does.
ah.
So, all right, my second book is Flash Ultimate. Oh, I'm sorry, Absolute Flash 5, not Ultimate Flash 5. That would be weird. Um, so this picks up where the last one left off, where Wally and Grodd find Heat Wave in the sewer. They're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Um, Grodd basically keeps telling him to help him, and he's like, "How do I help him?" And while he's trying to figure that out, Heat Wave goes up a manhole, and he's basically in front of the Dibney mission. So all of the guys at the Dibney mission are like, "Get the hell out!" And Dibney's Dibney and Linda are like trying to hold down the fort, kind of. Meanwhile, the rogues are trying to upgrade Captain Boomerang's boomerangs, and they're trying to figure out where everybody is. Thawne then tells them they figure out where they are, and they tell him that Rory is with them. And Snart's like, "What the hell?" He's like, "I thought he was dead." He's like, "No, um, he's with him. You just got to find him." So Grodd eventually tells him, um, "You need to put on the suit, and you need to touch him, and that will." Or you need to take the heat or something. Take heat. Wally, take heat is what he says. And I don't know how he ends up doing that, but he like sticks his hand out and then the heat just kind of absorbs into him. So that part really didn't make any sense, and he goes into this what I think is Speed Force like realm um for a minute, and then he just kind of comes back out. Um and Dibney's like, "Hey, like, are you okay?" He's like, "Don't touch me." uh, Linda's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "I don't know what's happening to me." But him and Grodd are like, "We gotta go." So they bolt, um, and the rogues are chasing after them. Um, and they're like, um, you know, Colonel West contained some people. He's like, "Wait, where is Colonel West?" And they cut to a scene, and Colonel West goes into a bunker, and there's a spaceship, and he goes in the spaceship, and you see um what are probably Martians, like from the Absolute Martian Manhunter Martians, probably other Martians. So that'll probably tie into that. Um, the backer is the Worlds Collide Part 2. So it continues with the Batgirl Nightwing story. So you find out Two-Face is also trying to rob that um, museum for the Pandora's box. Um, some craziness ensues. Batgirl ends up with Pandora's box as they try to leave. Catwoman tries to steal it. That's where it leaves off. Um, I'm I'm gonna give this one like a 8 out of 12 because it was not the best issue of this. Um, but it would definitely like still kept pretty good momentum, but it definitely felt like a dip. Um, like it didn't feel like enough was going on for it in it to keep my interest. Especially when I didn't really quite get like how he was absorbing the heat thing. Like that didn't really make any sense because like that's him. You see him behind you or behind Wally there. Like that's what Heatwave looks like. He looks like a molten man. So like if he absorbs the heat and he turns into a regular dude, does that mean that Wally's just absorbing heat? Does he absorb some kind of is the Speed Force what's giving all these dudes powers? Like what the hell is going on? Like it just made more questions and they weren't good ones. Uh, so
Um,
Yeah, so that's kind of why I'm giving it an 8 out of 12. So, yeah, that's probably the best I got on that one.
All right, we got Dread the Hall. I guess that's H. It's all one big title there. And if you can't tell who the cover artist is, that would be our one of our favorites there with Maria Wolf. Um, Basically, this is just a collection of horror stories ish with Comic Con's kind of being the brunt of the joke, or at least the setting of everything. We start with the first story, which is called Question and Answer. And basically it's a fan that kind of looks like he's a Thor kind of guy because he's wearing the Thor hat and he kind of looks like a low budget Viking. and, and they're talking about this fictional movie, and there's the panel, and there, you know how it goes where someone asks a question. Well, this guy starts on, well, how much time do I have to ask this question? And they're like, well, it depends on the question, and like we give you like 5 minutes or something. And he starts on this long side quest of, yeah, remember when you were in this and that and the other thing, and people are starting to get annoyed. Um, and then the countdown of his question is kind of like the end of the story. Um, so we start with the second story. It's called Line Capped, which is actually a pretty solid story in this. Basically, it's a couple at a con, at their first con, trying to get into lines, but all the lines are capped across the board, which I imagine this is what's going to be happening this weekend. So, you know, they can't get into a panel. They can't find any lines that aren't capped for autographs. The only thing that they ended up picking up is like a bat. They get some couple bags of dice that they bought at a stand, and then they continue on their way throughout the, like, just outside the con, and they're like, oh, is this like, you know how they have all the outside stuff where it's, you could find some activities and stuff there. Those were capped. Well, finally they see a, looks like a kind of a haunted castle mansion type thing. And they're like, oh, we didn't see this before. And here comes this ghoulish looking dude, and they think he's an actor, and they're like, oh, this looks like really cool D&D type stuff. And no line, oh yeah, we're in. So they go in this thing, and they're all excited because, you know, he has this wand that's glowing, and it's moving the everything in air, and they're like, oh, look at these special effects, and we're excited, this is awesome. Well, it ends up being that this ghoulish guy is actually Hades, and he used this castle as a trap to trap souls. And, you know, he's like, you know, but I'm a fair god, and I will give you a chance to, you know, leave with your lives and blah blah blah. And they still think this is a joke. And like, and the girl of the couple is like, well, I'm so and so from Pittsburgh, or I'm Lady so and so from the magical land of Pittsburgh, you know. And it kind of he took that to offense, and is like, he used his powers against them, and they're like, oh, this is real, this isn't fake. And they're like, well, we'll do your test, you know, but, you know, how do we know you're just not gonna screw us over? And he's like, I am a fair god, and he's like, I will, you know, he's like, I will give you, you know, a chance, or blah blah blah. And he starts walking away. As he does that, they use they grab the bags of dice they have, and they just roll them as hard as they are on the floor. Well, he ends up stepping on the dice, and he trips and falls, Well, when he does that, his staff flips in the air and like he gets set down. The wand is like kind of just there, like midair, just sitting there. Well, the guy grabs it and it uses its power to get them out. Well, before they leave, they hear all these voices of other people that were at the con that he trapped in there. So they rescued those people out. And then they're like, okay, let's close this up. And they use the wand to close up collapse the castle and they leave. And uh, it was kind of a cute little story where they're keeping the staff of Hades and it's like, okay. Um, the next story after that is the continuation of Q&A. And at this point, this dude's annoying the piss out of everybody, the audience, the panel. They're keeping count though, because there's a girl they're holding going, oh, he has like 2 minutes left, 1 minute left. And they're like, oh God, just ask the question already. He's still side questing like all of these little connecting dots with the actors, and you know, he still hasn't asked the question. Um, then we have one called spoiler alert. This is like the uh the the next story. And we see another couple and they wanted to go meet these two stars, Padu and Matt Pother. Apparently they play superheroes, and they're like, and the guy was like, well, he's like, I know a way. He's like, follow me. Well, they go down these sewer tunnels underneath the con. And he's like, my uncle, he's like, used to work here for years. And he's like, he would keep and store all the old uniforms and equipment and stuff like that. And he's like, we could just sneak in using these old, old things. And as like, just look like you belong there and no problem. So they walk in like there are some food vendors, and they sneak in and they meet these two actors. The girl meets Pedu and the guy meets the Matt Porther. And Pedu is basically a drunken actress, so she drinks until she's drunk. Um, well, not drunk, but she drinks sleepy time tea or something. She falls asleep. Um, and Matt apparently was trying to meditate and ends up falling asleep meditating. Well, their costumes that they wore on their movie or their action series were just sitting there. They were going to do these stunts for the con. Well, the guy and the gal had the idea of, oh, I can wear this uniform and I can do the stunt and I'll be, this will be a cool way to interact, this, that, and the other. Well, they as they're doing that, um, they don't control it very well. Uh, they end up they're in the air. Both of them were doing in the air. He was hang gliding and she was using a jetpack, and they collide in midair, burst into flames, and then they shoot down and through the roof of the con into the panel that Padu and Matt were going to do. And all during the chaos, Padu and Matt are like shocked at first, but then they're like well, this is tragic, and they kind of laugh about it. They're like, well, they're nobodies, and at least it wasn't us, and that was the end of that story. uh we get the end of Q&A after this, where apparently the dude was still ranting to the point where everybody's a skeleton, everybody's dead. And then he looks around and he's like, huh. He's like, well, I guess I'm not going to get the question answered. And he ends up brushing someone's bones off of a seat. And he's like, well, I'll just wait for the other pan. And he just sits there all proud of himself. And then we finally come to the last story, which is what's on the cover here is a zombie one. And you see this like Walking Dead-ish kind of zombie, black and white. Um, and it's just strolling in to the con. It made it in because they're like, you can't, the one guard was like, we can't let you in. You don't have a pass. And the other guard is like, well, look at the cosplay. They're like, where are they going to put the pass? And they're like, he's like, well, they have to show the pass. And he's like, just let him do it. They're like, it's fine. He's probably part of the acting and this, that, and the other. They just let this zombie in. And of course, the zombie's getting its photo taken because it's so realistic. And people are like, it even smells gross. His breath is disgusting. And they're like, look at his entrails just hanging out. And eventually he ends up getting like a little following of like con goers. And the zombies trying to bite, but everybody's wearing costumes and has long sleeves. So, he can't bite them to infect them. Well, finally, like in the end here, he actually he bites a couple of them that were wearing shorts because he was on the floor, just kind of laying there, and they were relaxed and taking a break at the con. Well, a couple of the people got infected. Well, you know what happens after that. Everybody's just a zombie. And you see this panel that they were going to do for The Walking Dead. And this guy was like, oh, look, everybody's coming cosplay. And next thing you know, the guy's being eaten. And that's the end. I thought this was an awesome little book for a one shot. It's always nice to see Maria's covers are always bangers. Um, it was a fun book. I want to give this 11 out of 12 on this one. I'm only deducting it because the Q&A story was stupid. But I enjoyed all the other stories. So I was like, I'll take it off just because the Q&A was kind of bad. But the other stories were kind of fun. And I like to shout out to Pittsburgh in the book.
That
So,
that was kind of cool.
yeah.
So, do you know who wrote that story?
I think that was I want to say it's the Jordan Hart. The pages were all like each one it was hard because they've been going back and forth. The Q&A kind of made it a pain in the butt because it was stuck in between all the other stories.
Oh,
So
I'll have to check. I'll look for it and see if I can find it over the weekend. So
yeah,
it seems cool. So, all right, my last
I knew you
one.
were gonna pick this one.
You know what? I almost didn't, and then Bo was like I was sitting there, and then Bo goes, "Dude, you need to read this book. It was hilarious." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Okay, not hilarious, but it was really, really good because we were talking about how Strange New Worlds was starting up." And I was like, "Okay, I'll check it out." So, this is from Chris Cantwell and Megan Levins. It starts out with the brand new officer, and he is on planet Neural in 2266. And it starts out, I'm going to read the very first page just because it's hilarious. Uh, it's I never felt prouder in my whole life when I graduated Starfleet Academy, when I became a real deal commissioned officer. You should have seen the look on my folks' face, pride, yeah, but also shock, because they never thought I'd amount to much. Then I got my assignment, security, a red shirt, and just 3 months later, my eyeball was was almost ripped out by a Mugado, which is like the giant white ape thing with like the big horn from classic Star Trek. Um, so then it cuts to 8 weeks later. He's being, checked out at the infirmary, and you find out that he went so long without treatment that his scars are basically permanent at this point. So now he's like, well, at least I have something to look badass with, and like all the other new people won't think I'm an idiot. So, um, so it shows like all the other people on his away team that died and how they died, and then it talks about this. Then it cuts to the other part of the story that it goes into, um, on a different planet with an older security guy who has basically been infiltrated to um, this satellite base to try to figure out where this mole is that is sending out or that is stealing information. So the plan is they're going to uh, send start to send some important information. Then they're going to blow up the satellite to have the people that are the moles come to see what the rest of it was because they really want the information, and then they're gonna have like an away team there ready to get them right. So they talk to the other security guy. He's like, all right, whatever. Um, and then you meet the other red shirts that are gonna come down. Um, so one guy's like a pilot. Um, the other one. We used to work on a sanitation ship. Um, and then so they're like, all right, well, how are we gonna get down there if we can't take the the shuttle and we're not gonna transport? And they're like, no. So they put them into fucking torpedoes, and um, at right before they get to the surface, they're going to transport them out of the torpedoes and into the building. Um, but they can only do six at a time, and there's of course there's like eight of them or six of them, eight of them. So the first six get in there, uh, and the power goes out in the place that they need to uh beam them from, and the like, but so the one just lands and like wails into a cliff and blows up. The other guy's like, "Oh God, oh God, oh God," and he lands and he gets out. He's like, "Sweet piece of cake, no problem." And then they send the live torpedoes, and he gets killed in that. So they're like, "God damn it, we're already down two people, really?" So there are now one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight red shirts left in this whole story, and six issues left. So we'll see how each one dies. Um, so that's pretty much how I'm expecting it. But then you find out the people that were doing the espionage were actually Romulans. And they show them in a bird of prey at the end. So it's actually kind of cool to for me to read it because like if you're a Star Trek guy, it's really funny because it's definitely set in the classic era, and they're poking at the fact that the red shirts know they're the expendable infantry guys, and they're just like, well, we may come back, fuck, like So it's just really funny that they're like that. So I'm giving this book a 9 out of 12, only because like the art's not great, but it's very good. And there are parts of the story that were a little slow to me. Um, but overall, I thought it was a very good read. And I'm looking forward to reading the next issue. And if the next issue is at least as good, I'm gonna continue to read the rest because it is pretty funny. So but that's all we have, I think, for comics, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So I was reminded by Grant that who's also in the chat now. And I was gonna bring this up anyway. Thank you, Grant. So Grant uh sends me this text the other day and he goes, "Hey, so I found this at work." He sends me a picture of one of Zach Wild's picks that he found laying somewhere at work from the Pantera show the night before. He's like, "Do
Oh,
you want this?" And I'm like, "Yes." So
nice.
he just drops it off at my house. It was awesome. So thank you, Grant. That is super cool. For those of you guys who don't know, Zach Wild is playing with Pantera right now as a tribute to Dimebag Darrell, who is like his fucking
Mhm.
brother. Um, and I say that not as they are replacing Dimebag. I say he's in doing it as a tribute to him because that is how they look at it as well. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's cool that they learned different songs for this year's tour. Um, because last year's tour was fucking killer. I kind of wish I would have went again, but I also was I think I was out of town when they played. Um, but it was very good. It was very, very good. Like they are very good live. Charlie and Zach fill in for Vinny and Dime very well. So, but again, thanks, Grant. I really appreciate that. That was cool. It's gonna go in my on my bookshelf back there, which I have like a Peter Chris drumstick and a couple other cool rock items, along with all my other cool shit, like my Scottian guitar over here. Um, so, but yeah. Well, that's pretty much all we got this week. There really isn't anything else. Just remember next week we're off, and then the week after that we'll be back in the first week of August. Um,
Yep.
so uh
So don't miss us too much here, guys.
yeah. But if you do see us around the stores, make sure you say hi. Make sure you shop at your local comic shop. If it happens to be us, also cool. Um, and support local guys, support, go on a Kickstarter, back something, buy local, buy at your local shops, because like we buy from local guys too.
Mhm.
In fact, we just restocked the new printing of Mr. Marsh from the guys at 819 Comics. They're the guys that did the Godzilla poster that everybody liked from the show. By the way, we still have some shirts of that. They're available at the mills right now. We're going to split some up and send them to the other stores in the next couple of weeks, so make sure you check that out. That's about it. And yeah, we'll see you next or 2 weeks, I guess. 2 weeks.